What's up, gamers? This is Jim from Just Push Play here, Ottawa's video game web show. Oh my gosh, there's so much news that over the last week or two I wanted to cover. Fortunately, there's just been so much going on in Ottawa that I can't cover it all. So I've gone back almost 2 weeks, and I've covered what I think is the most interesting games that I see on the horizon, and I want people to know about. So, mostly the cast will actually be about upcoming games, but I also want to talk about a few other things. So let's get started because there's so much to cover. So Bethesda actually doesn't want to make games for the Wii U. They have no games in the pipeline, which is not good news for the Wii U. Already, you see companies aren't as interested in developing for the system, which is unfortunate, since, there are some cool games on the horizon. So maybe, hopefully that will change, but, this is a continuance of what I've been saying is the Nintendo problem. People aren't seeing value in the system just yet, so therefore they aren't buying the system. And Nintendo refuses to reduce the price. They say it's not the price. Well, I'm sorry, but if they view the hardware as not being sufficient enough for this generation, they won't develop for it. And if there's no one developing games for it, then the system will just stall, and it'll be the first, you know, failed console system for Nintendo, which is not good. So hopefully that will change. But this sort of follows in the footsteps of EA and how EA refuses to make games, the sports games in particular, for the system. So that's no good. Hopefully that changes. So on to the next. Okay, so Kickstarter, it's finally coming to Canada. Wee-hoo! Awesome. So it's going to be September 9th. It's going to be arriving here in Canada. So, just Push Play might just use it. We'll see. It's a good idea. There's going to be events in Toronto on September 8th and 9th. So, if you're in the area or if you can get down there easily, check it out. But, what do you guys think? Let me know. All right, on to the next. Okay, so the first game I want to talk about today is called Betrayer. It's from people who made No One Lives Forever, which is a great series if you haven't ever looked it up. The game is called 1604. It's also made by Black Powder Games, and I just watched the trailer and it looks pretty neat. It's in black and white, as far as I can tell from the trailer, and it's going to have blood. So there's only those three colors. So it looks kind of neat. It looks kind of creepy. Who knows from the style? It's about, you landing in 1604, presumably. Yeah, when the player has landed in the new world and they encounter a colony in Virginia, I believe. Yep. And English colony on the coast of Virginia. And there's no one there. So it's kind of a creepy setting, and that starts up the story. We'll see how it turns out, because these sort of games, they're either laughable or they're scary as heck. So it looks promising. I'm going to include the link here and you can check it out and you can let me know what you think of it too. But so far from the trailer, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, the player just encounters ghosts and mysteries, and it looks kind of interesting. Check it out. You're supposed to explore the wilderness and look for explorers, any survivors. So yeah, check it out and let me know what you think. All right, on to the next. People behind Ouya, and as a way of apologizing to the people who backed the Ouya, they offered over a week ago to have $13 or so deposited back so you can put that into games. Now, the inherent problem from what I've heard and what I've seen is there's not really a lot worth playing on the Ouya quite yet. I've seen a few people talk about it, but none of my friends even talk about the Ouya. I don't know anyone in the game stores. Like, there's very little interest in the Ouya. So, having that money put in your bank, it's really not really worth much. Like, even $13, I'm not sure how far that could go for a game, but you know, if the games aren't that interesting and no one feels compelled to play the system, then we'll see how well the system really does. I know, unfortunately, there was an article a while ago talking about how sales for the Wii U games aren't doing that well, and I'm not entirely surprised because the games that you can pretty much pay to play on your phone, And I just don't see those games being as appealing as, say, Smash Brothers. Just and there's not enough publicity for the system. I find. I think the concept was cool, but unfortunately, things so far it doesn't seem like the games are coming very fast, and it seems like it's kind of a similar idea to the Wii U, how the Wii U has a few cool games, but they need more games. And if OEA can't step up, there's other consoles coming up on the horizon, the PS4 obviously and Xbox One, but then there's the other uh, systems from Amazon and Shield, the Shield that's being brought out by Nvidia, I believe. So there are a lot of game consoles on the horizon. So if Ouya doesn't step up, and same thing with the Wii U, then it might not do so well. And Ouya is kind of in a worse situation than Nintendo, because Nintendo has decades worth of awesome characters. They could just make a game or keep making multiple Mario games, and you know what? People will keep buying it. So it's a very different situation for the Ouya, and they need to move fast. But there was also late shipments, missing controllers. So the Wii has been experiencing problems that the Wii U didn't really have. Wii U sort of had more, more, the patches took forever. Well, that's different than not having, your game system play. If you don't have your game system play, it's going to be hard for people to buy games. It makes sense. So, anyways, on to the next buy. So another game that I thought was really cool that I saw and watched the trailer for, it reminds me of another game that I saw a long time ago, and I'm sure, since I've played so many games, hundreds of games, thousands of games, I actually did play a Game Boy game recently. Oh, wait, I remember. If you remember the game that came out, the Pierce Brosnan film, I can't think of it right now. Man, but the whole concept of race the sun, race the sun. Okay, it's race the sun, not race to the sun. Is you're hurling towards the sun and you have to control this crazy ship. The video does more justice, but it looks like a fun game. Lawnmower Man, that was the name of the movie I was thinking of. They used to have stages. There were side-scrolling stages for Lawnmower Man for the Super Nintendo, and I think it came on the Genesis as well. And the second or third stage had you hurling towards, these different blocks that you had to pass through. And this is exactly like this. Like, this trailer reminds me totally of that. Now it looks like they have different shapes, so that's kind of cool. Um, but yeah, this game looks cool. It didn't say the price. It just said August 19th. Yeah, Steam Greenlight pre-orders with instant access to the full game, including, and it's actually live already. But yeah, it's not officially launched. It's August 19th, and it's PC, Mac, and Linux. So it reminds me of that. It's being done. I think other games in video game history have done. Hurling towards the screen fast. You gotta maneuver your ship. For example, Shadows of the Empire sort of had that for PC, or N64. You sort of move without giving too many spoilers away about that game, you had to move your ship around while something was blowing up. I'm not going to spoil it, but this has been done a few times. But Lawnmower Man, I mean, that was probably the uh, most obvious version of this type of gameplay. So it looks like a cool game. I don't know how much it's going to be, unfortunately, but it looks like a cool game, and I highly recommend checking out the trailer, because I'm always supporting, something that's a bit different, and something that pushes gaming into new areas, or at least something that is a throwback that um, may inspire other gaming, future genres. So it's always cool to see games that do something a bit different from what is currently uh, in vogue rather. So yes, check it out. Check out the trailer. I'll post up the link underneath my talking, and you'll be able to check it out and see what you think of it too. Let me know if you like it, dislike it, and we'll just move on from here. Alright, so another cool game that I thought was worth mentioning in today's double feature of the vlog is Hybris. It's sort of like a Coraline, at least Joystick calls it a Coraline meets Spielberg on Dark Knight. I don't know, maybe Spielberg, maybe Tim Burton. I'm thinking just Coraline meets Tim Burton because it seems a lot darker than something Spielberg would generally do. I think AI was kind of dark in terms of Spielberg movies. But no, it looks kind of cool. It's about a kid named Kevin, and it talks about he's trying to escape his fragile home life by actually visiting the top of a hill, and then he sees a light that fills up the sky and alters the world. And there's going to be inventory-based puzzles, there's going to be monsters, the time freezing mechanic. So that sounds a bit more generic, but maybe it might be more story focused. So that would be kind of neat to see something that pushes the envelope yet again. It's going to have music by Austin Wintory, uh, who was the Grammy-nominated composer behind the game Journey and Journey Monic Journey, Monaco, and the Leisure Suit Larry reboot. So that's kind of neat. I didn't see a trailer, but they have a picture, so hopefully there's something out, um, something more to see. Uh, but it's going to be the Hybris game is going to be out in two parts. The first one hits in early 2014. I don't think it says when the next one will be out, so probably many months after that. So check it out. That was another cool game. So we'll move on. So talking about all these release of new systems, the Nvidia Shield came out a while ago. I never really talked about it because I wanted to see how it was going to do. It seems pretty cool. It's got pretty good specs. I'm not going to quote specs at you because it's about the games. But um, Nvidia is optimistic, but I'm wondering if there's really like a ton of games that gamers want to play. Again, my friends aren't probably the best people to talk about new game systems because I don't know of them jumping on the new game systems like other gamers. But it just from this article, let me just bring it over because there's so much to talk about. Um, so the handheld, apparently Nvidia is happy about the handheld, but they actually had a drop in revenue, 6.4% for the second quarter, so that's not good. And it costs money to make these systems, so you can look at it that way, that um, it costs a lot of money to launch a system. People don't realize it, and a lot of effort, a lot of planning, very good planning if you want to do it right. Um, but I haven't really heard of anyone buying this system. Like it could be like the PS3. You can have the best hardware in the world or at the time, and then if no one can program it, yeah, it's not that great. So I had to bring up another list of games that apparently are optimized for the system, and they seem okay. Like they seem okay. I don't want to diss them. Of course, I haven't played some of them. There's Relax, there's Beach Buggy Blitz, there's Truck Challenge 3D. Um, I've heard of Dead Trigger, Shadowgun Dead Zone. Then there's Zen Pinball, which I'm sure that's cool. Bard's Tale, and then AVP Evolution. Like I'm not gonna read them all, but then there's Chop Lifter High Definition, Expendable, and then there's Grand Theft Auto 3, which is kind of old. I'm sure someone will play it still. Grand Theft Auto Vice City, uh, Max Payne Mobile. So there's some famous names. Sonic 4 Episode 2. Well, I heard Sonic. I played Episode 1 and almost beat it. It was okay, but it wasn't my favorite Sonic. Um, then Space Ark, Star Wars Pinball, that's cool. Zombie Driver. And then there's a lot of other games here, drag racing. Again, there's no way to know all of the games released for systems, but these are games. People. Here, I'll scroll down a bit. Oops, losing that part. Yeah, so there's Sonic CD and there's R Type, and Sonic CD is great. I'm not sure if they actually bumped up the quality of the graphics, but you know, these are games that you'd have to be pretty hardcore, like Virtua Tennis Challenge. I've know Virtua Tennis is great, but I mean, and the Sonic the Hedgehog, it looks like that's the original one. But you know, it's the all about the exclusives, and Nintendo's got that covered. You know, if Nintendo has games that no one else can make, and people love to play for hours on end, like that's the type of game that some of these game systems uh, need. And unless they can get them, like the Ouya, like this is tied in with the last news I covered today, then it doesn't matter. You know, your games could be, you may have 40 games, but if no one wants to play them, you know, oh well, you know, your system won't do too well. And so it's, you know, it's having a quantity of games, but it's also having a few really good games. You know, for example, like Smash Brothers, like a game that people could play the whole weekend on. You know, so I see the system, and it's got a lot of potential from a hardware perspective. So, but it's also the games, and if the games suck and no one wants to play them, then you know, no one's going to buy your system. And that's the same problem or similar problem that the Wii U and the Ouya need to actually cover to a greater or lesser extent. You figure it out. You know, the Wii U has some good games, but they need more good games. Ouya, a lot of niche games and games that people can play on the phone. So if they can't afford to buy or don't want to pay $100, they might just play it on their phone and pay the $5 or $10 or whatever to actually play those games on their phone. So, anyways, that's all from that topic for me. Let's move on. So, super quick news. Brentalfloss has released a game launch rock. It's pretty short. I think it's, yeah, it's 2.5 minutes, just about. And it's pretty cool. It advises if you're a new gamer, you know, it gives you some good advice. So, watch it. It's kind of funny. And it's in the vein of Schoolhouse Rock, I believe. A really old show that was even before my time, I think. So, anyways, enjoy it, watch it. Next news. Okay, from the angle of stuff that sounds cool, but you know, maybe isn't practical enough, Pixel Art's releasing pixel art controllers are coming from Hyperkin. They look kind of blocky. If you've ever used an NES, original NES controller from 1985, yeah, they kind of dug into your hands after a while. So I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about this controller. I'll leave the link for you, and it looks cool. Maybe hanging on your wall, you know, maybe wrap it around you if you're, you know, like bling. But other than that, it looks like, you know, it's like a Tetris controller. So if you're holding that, I just don't see that being comfortable. You know, it looks cool. You know, wear it around your neck, as I said, or something. You know, it looks cool. You know, you might be able to impress your fellow gamers. I don't think don't bring it on dates. No. But yeah, I don't think we know a price on it yet. But you know, it looks cool. So, you know, maybe hang it up on your wall, put it in a frame or something. I don't know. Okay, so if you've been really busy as I have with other things, you probably missed this news, and it's kind of cool. I sort of skimmed the video. It's a 40-minute video on Project Spark, which looks pretty cool. You can make your own games in theory, sort of without any programming knowledge from what I saw of the skimming the 40-minute video. They sort of have objects that you can create, and or rather, you can create mountains and other environments and add waterfalls. It's kind of neat. Um, it looks sort of like a more sophisticated Little Big Planet, sort of, but it's going to be available for Windows 8. It's going to be available for Xbox 360, and there was something else, Xbox One. I find it kind of hard to believe that Xbox 360 will handle it, considering the RAM limitations of the system. But you know, it looks kind of neat. I can see people's computers obviously running it fine, and Xbox One should have no problem either. Again, it looks neat. It depends on what they're trying to do with it. I saw just a bunch of objects, mostly sort of medieval fantasy objects, which is kind of cool. Apparently so far they've made like remade Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2 and Star Wars X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, which is neat, but I mean, it depends on how complex this system will get. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on. it's sort of like a modern version of Mario Paint in a three-dimensional level. So check it out. I'll leave the link for the video, and you can just watch it to your heart's content. It's 40 minutes long, so that's pretty much all I can explain without you having to watch the video. So check it out. So a few days ago, Conan looked at a Atari 2600, and he was playing a number of games, rather horribly actually. And yeah, it was kind of neat to see someone who's obviously a clueless gamer try and play some of these really old games that are tough. They're probably mm, arguably tougher than the Nintendo games. So you can check out this video. I'll just provide the clip, but it's kind of funny. He likes some of the games. I won't say which ones, but um, it sort of makes me realize how far gaming's actually come to be where we are today. And yeah, I guess also people's expectations have also increased since uh, the Atari days. And you know, if I was growing up with the Atari, I think uh, I would be blown away too. But looking back from being able to see 3D games, these games aren't as impressive unless you grew up with a Nintendo or sometime in that era and realize, you know, this is where all gaming came from, and we've really leapt very far in such a short space of time. And there are a lot of great games that have been made in, say, 20 or 30 years or so. So yeah, check it out. Have a laugh. It's kind of funny seeing Conan. Obviously, I hope he's better than that in real life, but you know, pretty cool to see him play some old games that I actually grew up with. So check it out. So as I mentioned earlier, you know, there are tons of video game handhelds and you know, console systems coming in to the fray, and you know, it's getting kind of crowded around here. You know, let's just recap. You know, we've DS, which has pretty much been dead for a while. There are a few games coming out for it, but not really. The Wii's been dead for months. I think there might still be a game, but I thought the Crudes were coming out for Wii at one point, but that might have been silently canceled. I haven't looked up the Wii games because generally since last September when Nintendo um, released Kirby, after that, you know, that was sort of the end as far as I was concerned for the Wii. So we have the Wii U, and then we have the PlayStation 3, which is still going strong. Still great games coming out for the PS3 and Xbox 360, which is even more ancient. Um, there's the PlayStation Vita, which I looked at games, not a lot that I'm really interested in there, but you know, there's the Ouya, you know, there are so many, and the Nvidia Shield, you know, so many games coming out that it's getting kind of packed and it's getting a little bit crazy. And the rumor is, you know, Amazon's going to have their own game console soon too. Um, it's just a rumor, but you know, there's a good chance it's true. Uh, they say that the Amazon console will have its own controller, will use Amazon's own library of Android apps, most likely be available by Black Friday. Um, yeah, but it would shake up the market as joystick. I'm going off joystick here, talking about, you know, there's already the game stick. I totally forgot about the game stick. And Amazon's huge, but it's just kind of crazy. These game companies, like all these companies, are trying to jump in because it's a huge business, and which is good from like a, you know, there's money being invested. But as we've seen in the past, history shows that, you know, there are only so many gaming consoles that can last. And with the 3DO, SNES, you know, Neo Geo, Genesis, you know, those, it was mainly about Sega and Nintendo. Most of the other, and eventually the PlayStation, and um, then the Dreamcast disappeared. So, you know, the game industry can only have so many consoles going at once, and I can really see that a lot of these consoles, they won't, my guess is they won't make a huge impact. It's hard to say right now. You know, maybe, I know Nintendo's struggling, but you know, it's kind of getting kind of crazy with these companies all jumping in, trying to jump on the bandwagon. And just history's shown that you can't really have this many game companies um, all entering the fray. So we'll see what happens. But it seems like if Amazon's having a Android console market, uh, entering the console market, then what's going to happen with the Wii U? It's going to make things really complicated, and I just don't see the video game industry able to have this many consoles and have them all survive. So should be interesting as a gamer, but it'll make the business a lot more difficult for the companies. And maybe there'll be less exclusives. Who knows? But that's what the rumored way that the industry is going. Less exclusives, and when there are exclusives, there's going to be costing a lot to have those exclusives because it just doesn't make sense with games generally costing so much to make. At least the big ones. Um, yeah, it should be cool to see where we end up by the middle point of next generation or even the next year. We'll see. So on to the next. So there's a music fighting game. Yes, a music fighting game coming to the PlayStation 3 and the Vita as well. I just watched the trailer. It looks kind of neat. There's kicking involved, and the game's called KickBeat. Looks interesting. I'm not sure. I'm sort of on the fence on this game until there's actually some playable gameplay or something to go by. Because just seeing like a few seconds of people in a ring kicking, it doesn't really explain how the game is going to work exactly. It's a cool idea, and it's something that I think I've thought of, like what if they combine this myself? But whether it's an effective game, whether it's a fun game, um, so yeah, it looks like you have to time the button presses to the beat of musical artists such as Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, and Pendulum. There's a track generator, so you can turn your own music and keep beat levels, so that's a bit more replayability. But it depends on how they do it, because I'm not sure if this will be as amazing as it, the initial concept sounds cool, but whether they can actually make it into a fun game, we'll see. So that's all I have to say about that. So during a Nintendo Direct event, maybe about 5-10 days ago, I actually missed this news the first time around when I was checking news. I must have had an off day checking news. So actually, there's a new Animal Crossing Wii U app, and I believe you can actually post messages with screenshots and codes from the 3DS game via the SD card to the series' new Miiverse community. So I totally missed this news. I'm sure other people missed this news unless you're a hardcore Animal Crossing fan. Um, so it's similar to the Mii Plaza, except you can now have the critters from the Animal Crossing series. So that was kind of neat. I've met a lot of really cool people that love Animal Crossing from the Ottawa Street Pass. So, this is definitely great news if they plan on also getting a Wii U and, an Animal Crossing game for that system as well. So the service will be available through to the end of 2014. So it's only a limited time, unless it gets expanded on. So use it while you can. Yeah, that's about it. So that's all the news I have time to cover today. Unfortunately, there's are a ton of events going on today and over this weekend. So, just check out the links, and I will cover over a ton more news articles. There's just been so much going on in the last week or two that's kind of cool that gamers should check out. So yeah, for the time being, check out the links I've given you. And I'll probably have to do another video because I don't want like an hour-long video, because who wants to watch an hour-long video live or not live? So yeah, just check out those links. I'll make another video, I promise, in the next few days when I have time. And just keep on gaming, guys. I'm Jim from Just Push Play, Ottawa's Video Game Web Show. Stay awesome.